Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we are going to go over some neck work. Now, as I was working through this neck, I found that there was a lot of tissue tension here, but not only here, it also led me up into the scalp. Now, in the scalp, we found a lot of tension there, and that was really causing a lot more tension than I realized. But we worked bilaterally in the long term. But we took them piece by piece. So we went first on this right side of the neck, and then we detailed it all the way through, and then polished the opposing side. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just let the video play, and I will come in and out so throughout this video to give you an idea of what's going on. So right here, what we're doing is we are working through the neck and basically palpating and trying to find any tension in the area. This short segment was a little bit blurry, shot at the camera. Autofocus kind of was focusing on, I don't know what. But this was a little part, it was just a little bit off. And just like that, it comes back in focus. And our palpation led us into the levator scapula and erector spinae. And that there was a pull that was pulling right here. It was actually pulling on the traps and in the neck, causing a lot of tension all around this neck, and even up into there. But I'm going to go ahead and let some of this play through, and where there's need for highlight, I will pop back in. So until then, enjoy the sounds of massage. Here you may hear slight crunchies, which is just knots in the levator scapula, to keep it simply said. And as we hear less and less audible cues, we notice that the intensification is reducing. And even when I palpate back in, the whole area looks a lot more loose. And we're just trying to find the little areas of tension. And if we're needing to go back in, we will detail again with our tool. Now, one interesting thing is as I'm pulling around here near the Sternocleidomastoid, you can begin to see how it's pulling on the jaw in a way. And a lot of this tension, when we're talking about neck, goes far greater than just localized tension. But what it does to the global area is pretty incredible. Now what I'm doing is I'm palpating, and I noticed that when I put my forearm here, I felt a lot of tension. But just to make sure, I'm trying to find where the tension is. You can hear it in the scalp, and what I'm manipulating is the epicranial aponeurosis, and that is pure fascia. Now remember, we're not trying to manipulate muscle. Knots, even though people typically associate it with muscle, is found more in fascia than it is in muscle. And here, some people think that it's my forearm that makes the crunchies when I'm working the epicranial aponeurosis. But in fact, it's actually the scalp. So when I go through here, now you can hear a reduction in audible cues. And you're going to see me repeat this process until we clean up the scalp and the knots in the head actually get reduced until it's pretty darn smooth. again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to showcase that in the forearm, it's not the forearm that's making the crunches, it's in the epicranial aponeurosis, because the fascia blaster can't crack and won't make that noise, the densification noise. And although there is a slight chance that I might have densification in my forearm, because I do this all day, the fact of the matter is once I find the tension with my forearm, I go in with the fascia blaster, and then we can actually hear the fascia and knots in the scalp reduce pretty incredibly. And you'll be able to hear that demonstration right now. After we relax the tension in the epicranial aponeurosis, the next thing is always in the masseter or in the jaw. That can all connect into the shoulder tension in here. Now as we go up, you can see that there's almost like a nodule that was underneath my thumb right there. And it's really just pulling on that jaw. Normally I do a deep jaw release, but today it was mostly on the outside that we worked. Because I really wanted to demonstrate that tension can be seen on the outside and actually can be reduced on the outside. Although I think the internal mouth work can be much more effective. Now as we go through and we kind of detail a little bit, we're going to use heat to detail even deeper. Now this heated scraper, I let it move to the side and allow the heat to generate, and it's basically like a mobile hot stone set that I like to incorporate in my sessions. Having this allows parasympathetic to respond in the tissue through the thixotrophic effect, which is through the heat, and it kind of liquefies some of that densification in the fascia. Now after checking the block, we moved on and we started checking just to finalize and feel how the tissue was at. Realizing the time was short, we had to move on to the next side. So that is what we did. Started first palpating and figuring out our angles for the palm and what's going to be most beneficial for this side, because both sides are inherently slightly different. immediately you can see how stiff this side is compared to the other side that we just relaxed. So notably, this is going to need a lot more work. Now adjust the method just to try to make sure that it didn't rub against the table and make any unnecessary noise. Heating up the scraper so that way we could go in. Now there is no difference between this scraper and the other scraper. It's just the fact of one was low on battery and the other one was getting low on battery. But the effect is the same. It creates heat, and that heat allows us to scrape deeper. The metal tip at the very front of this all generates heat, so it's a whole band, so it's good for larger areas, but it doesn't necessarily matter to me because I work all areas with detailing, and so very rarely do I use the entire on that screen. Now, besides my best efforts, we still got some odd sound from the mic, probably from the wristband that I'm using. But notice how deep this tension is and how it's starting to slowly give way. Now when I'm working the tissue, you can see some more give, but now you can more clearly see where that band is and how it's pulling all the way up from the occipital protuberance, even up to the scalp. So what I did is I actually angled up and decided to use my elbow, and I'm putting very, very light pressure up on the suboccipital protuberance of the skull, which is at the base of the skull. And I could just slightly put pressure and find a medium-sized nodule there that began to give way, and as soon as you give way, then I can come back in, start palpation again, and continue to find more and more tension. Now, an excellent way when you have time constraints, as I did in this moment, is to use the TEND unit. Now the TEND unit will shoot a precision vibration that basically acted like a frequency relaxing device. So it's very interesting because the vibration is at such a high frequency, like a high rate, that it actually vibrates through the tissue, and sometimes I can feel it up to my wrist. And this is how it can help with that parasympathetic state, allowing the tissue to relax. And as it relaxes, it makes it easier and easier for us to work more detailed and more deeper. And by relaxing the area, you can see how much more fluidity there is, and it really just melts away a lot of tension. So by using this as a polisher or something to warm up with, or in this case when we're working, we're obviously seeing that the tissue is not wanting to give, so we use it as like an extra enhancer. It's extremely useful, and it just helps to relax the tissue so much more easier. Now we're going to go ahead and repeat the process of finding densification within the scalp, working it out with the forearm, feeling it, and then going through with the fascia blaster to alleviate some of that tension. And you heard the audible cue right there. It's we can try to find it. As you can hear the same audible cue that you heard with the forearm, just with the fascia blaster. Until it smooths out, and then we'll go through with the forearm again and see if it sounds less. And immediately we see that huge reduction. We'll repeat this process and do it until we polish up as much as possible in the short time that we have left. Tracing through all the way through the scalp, getting all this nice and relaxed. What we'll do is we'll go back into the jaw like we did on the other side and use the 10 unit to go ahead and polish through the masseter. Now the 10 unit is an awesome tool set to use if you don't necessarily know exactly what to do and how to work inside of the mouth or in your own jaw. The 10 unit can help with that high vibration frequency and relax a lot of the masseters and muscles in the bucca, and this will further enhance some of that relaxation, and it'll help with pain or tension. If you have TMJ, if you're just clenching a lot and that tension can radiate into the neck, doing this and working your face will just help relax everything in total. Now, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps us grow so much more. If you leave a like, it helps even more. And if you want to be a tri-star helper, leaving a comment and letting us know what you think of this video, how to enhance the video, what do you think of the quality. We've been working very hard adding in new equipment, this was shot with the FX3, Atomos, and ProRes RAW, which is like way overkill, but I just try to do it just to provide the best quality for the sessions, and just in case if the color goes wrong, I can always fix it for you guys. But guys, once again, I am John of Greater Therapeutics. Thank you guys for watching the videos, liking the videos, commenting and letting me know your thoughts. I appreciate you so much, and we will catch you